Megan,
What, Maria?
it's our third episode of Magic the PROthering.
Oh my goodness, that's pretty amazing.
That's 3 episodes.
That is 3 episodes, and that's about as high as I can count.
Really?
What? Yes.
I'm sorry. How do you play Magic?
You know, I just do it in multiples of 3 or 2 or 1.
So you play a lot of aggressive decks.
No, I'm just saying that if something had a converted mana cost of like 7, I don't know what that is. I think of it as 3, 3, and 1.
This is the weirdest thing I've ever heard.
I'm totally lying.
Oh, well, if you guys don't know who we are or what we do, we are Maria and Megan of Magic the Amateuring, but one time a month, we put on a special costume, and that costume is the costume of pro players.
Absolutely. Or hard-hitting journalists.
Right.
Asking the tough questions.
The tough questions.
And the less tough questions of pro players.
Right.
This month, we have a different guest than the previous 2 months because that's how the show works.
Yep. We have this show thanks to you on Patreon for supporting us. Because we reached a certain level, we are thanking you with interviews with pros. And we've got a really special, awesome, super great pro this week.
Who is it, Maria?
It's none other than Melissa DeTora.
Oh my goodness. That's right, everybody. Melissa DeTora is once free again to be interviewed after being cloistered at WotC.
Cloistered?
That's a phrase, right?
Oh,
like,
I think employed is the word I was looking for.
I mean, like, employed is that, but, you know, like, mine also applies a little bit.
Welcome, Melissa.
Hey, everyone.
Thanks for joining us this week.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We're so excited to have you on. How's Seattle right now?
Well, it's been raining every day for the past 2 months.
Oh my God.
You're serious?
I think the sun came out yesterday for 10 minutes.
Congratulations.
But besides that, you know, it's been pretty good.
Did you go outside immediately and put on like a bikini and have a towel out and you're like, yes, give me the sun?
I did go outside immediately, yes.
Okay, good.
Yes. I can only imagine, like, everyone in Seattle all at once, like, hitting the streets. And everyone's like,
oh, I need my vitamin D. Anyway.
Is that like, so Seattle has the reputation of always being like that. Is it always that rainy, or is it like a winter thing? And
it's only sunny? The winter. The summer is actually really nice.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay, good.
I mean, in that case, I would take 2 months of rain over snow that we have.
Yeah, I don't think it's really that bad.
Yeah.
Like, it gets to some people, but for me, I don't really care. Whatever.
Just like buy a good pair of galoshes and get over it.
That should be a Seattle poster. Buy a pair of galoshes and get over it.
It probably is somewhere. Seattle's pretty hip.
They are pretty hip.
I'm sure they have posters.
So how's life treating you, Melissa?
Not bad. You know, I've been looking for a job, writing a bunch of articles. I have my first coverage gig actually this weekend in Vancouver, so I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, what are you gonna
I
do?
hope it leads to future coverage things. Yeah, it should be really fun and exciting. I'm doing text coverage.
Sweet. And yeah, for anybody listening to this, that means that this weekend, or you know, if Vancouver's in the past now, go back and read all of the sweet text coverage from Vancouver that Melissa's gonna write there.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm really excited to read what you have to write, and I wonder, how does that work? I mean, do you know what you're looking for when you're going in to write about?
So up until earlier today, I had no idea what to write about. But then I was given a bunch of things to write about. So there is actually some structure to it. It's not just I'm writing whatever I want.
Nice.
I do have, like, you know, a couple of assignments that have to be written. And, of course, there's, like, match coverage, too. So that kind of thing.
How fast do you have to type? Is there a typing speed requirement? Because you have to type, like you said, match coverage, and then probably a feature story or something. Like, are you just... That's the sound of me typing really fast.
Yeah, honestly, I have no idea what to expect. So I'm probably just going to do a bunch of notes, and then when the match is over, do a lot of writing. But I don't know. But what I do know from talking to other people who have done written coverage, pretty much they get all of their articles done, like, in between rounds or, like, after the event is over. So... it's a really long day, you know, so if the event ends at 9 p.m. on day 1, you're probably writing until midnight. So
holy cow.
Wow.
It's a lot of work. So, and Megan, you're doing coverage at, is it Houston?
Yes.
So good luck with that.
Thank you. Yes, as you're sitting here describing it, I'm like, oh my.
Oh my.
Oh my.
You're up next, Megan. Get ready.
That's awesome though. And you've also been doing a lot of articles for Daily MTG, correct?
Yep, I had my first one, I think, last week. I don't know, the weeks kind of blend together now. And my next one, I believe, is going up Friday, but I could be wrong. But it's going up very soon.
This is what happens to me too. I'm like, what day is this being published? I don't know, someday.
Yeah. Well, nice. Yeah, so if you're listening to this, again, head on over to Daily MTG and check some of those out. I know that you did one, I feel like the week of the pre-release, you did one on some cards that might be impacting Standard.
Yep.
Sweet.
Yep, so the next one, I think that means it's going up next week because it has to do with the Pro Tour, so and the Pro Tour is next week, so that would mean it's probably going up next week, but I don't remember the day, so.
Fair enough.
You said you're looking
MTG every day. Eventually, you'll find it.
Yeah, that's good practice.
That's a good practice, anyways.
You're looking for a job. What are you hoping for? Everybody out there, hire Melissa. She's great. What kind of job do you want?
Pretty much game design jobs and also community management. I have some leads, but I'm not going to talk about them.
Fair enough. We're just saying, if you're out there hiring people.
Yeah, get your hiring hat on. Melissa's right here.
Nice. So, can you give us a little bit of background on like how you started playing Magic?
Sure. So, a long, long time ago, there was a time where I was in high school.
Remember what? Sorry.
So I started playing in high school. My high school boyfriend actually taught me how to play. It's pretty stereotypical. Usually, it's like the girl learns how to play from the boyfriend. Well, yeah, that happened to me too. But like the story of how I learned how to play is pretty funny because for months I did not want to learn how to play. So like all these high school friends were like, "Oh, this game is cool. Learn how to play. You'll like it. Just learn how to play." And I was like, "No, I don't want to learn how to play. This game looks stupid." So finally, on one rainy day, we had nothing to do, and I finally caved in and said, "Okay, I'll learn how to play." So I learned how to play. And it was the best decision I've ever made. It was the best game I've ever seen in my entire life. I regret anything that I ever said bad about the game before. Fell in love, and, I have been playing ever since.
Nice. Well, you heard it here first, everybody. Melissa DeTora, this game looks pretty stupid.
Direct quote.
I probably did say that.
I mean, I bet tons of people who said
Yeah.
that, I have said that, before they understood that it was, oh wait, the greatest game ever made.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. I think we were probably pretty skeptical.
Oh, I'm sure we were. I remember when we learned, I was like, what is this?
Yeah.
Oh, Nerd Central, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Which,
2 days.
it is.
I mean, it is, but 2 days later, this is the greatest
yeah.
feeling that I've ever had in my life,
Very true. Mm-hmm. Very true. So what's your favorite format to play?
My favorite format is Booster Draft.
Yeah.
What can I say? You get to open packs. No two games is ever the same. No decks are ever the same. It's always a different experience. I've been playing Booster Draft since my first one was Urza's Saga Block, just to give you an idea of how long I've been playing. Like every set, I just draft, a lot. Like when I was playing like my most Magic ever, I was probably drafting like twice a day, 4 days a week or something. Is that a lot? I'm not sure. But
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
Oh,
That's
okay.
a reasonable amount. That's a very reasonable amount. How are you feeling about Oath of the Gatewatch draft so far?
It's like really difficult.
Yeah,
First of all, since I was at Wizards, I have drafted the set before, but not a whole lot. Like most of the work that I have done is on future sets. So like when I was drafting Oath of the Gatewatch, I was very new, So
Yeah.
It was kind of overwhelming. Colorless is a 6 color,
Yeah.
So in BFZ, if you're drafting green and there's evolving wilds, you can easily splash a color, right? But
Yeah.
In this format, if you're playing colorless, you can never splash a third color.
Yeah.
So if you're red green and you're splashing black for something, you cannot play colorless. Mm-hmm. It will be you will not have a good time.
Yes.
Yeah,
As someone
4-color
who
deck.
tried to do that.
Yeah.
Just to give you an idea of what
verify.
I did a draft 2 days ago, and one player drafted black green, splash red, and he had colorless. So he had like Stalking Drone and whatever other colorless stuff. And he like did really badly. Like I don't think he won a game, and he was a little frustrated. And I was like, well, you're 4 colors. He's like, no, I'm 3 colors.
No.
And I said, no, you're actually 4 colors. So then later on he was goldfishing his deck. And he was like, well, look how great my deck is playing out now. And he had like forest, swamp, mountain, waste in play. And I said, that's because you played like 4 different colors of lands, turns 1 through 4. Of course your deck's better.
Because that's an absurdly natural draw of your mana base.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he just didn't understand that, like, it is actually a 6 color. Like, you have to put these wastes in your deck that don't do anything. Like, they don't help you cast any of your spells. Maybe they might help you activate an ability or whatever, but, like, it's just, like, really tough. And it might be a trap. I'm not sure. I haven't figured out if it's a trap yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good
And
question.
I'm not taking waste very highly either. It's tough. Like, it's like, so you're drafting, and if people aren't playing colorless, they're taking all these good cards. And you're playing colorless, so you have a choice. You can either take good cards or take lands for your deck. So if you take lands for your deck, you're not taking good cards. So then you're left, like, you have to take, like, leftover crap later on, so your deck ends up bad. If you don't take waste, you can't play the colorless, so it's just very hard to draft.
Yeah.
I guess that's the best way that I can explain it.
No,
fair enough.
we've definitely both experienced that already.
Definitely.
In Oath. And I think, too, what's interesting is, like, is your deck improved by the power level of the colorless cards if you're taking that risk, or is it just better to avoid it entirely and draft green-white support? Follow-up, is green now good?
Yeah, maybe. Like, I drafted a red-blue Surge deck with 0 colorless, and it worked out really well. And then, like, another draft, I drafted another red-blue Surge, but it had colorless, and it was not good. So, I don't know. That's a small sample size, though.
Yeah, it's going to be
enough.
interesting to see moving forward.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You mentioned the Pro Tour. You can't actually already be back on the Pro Tour, can you? After
Oh, no, definitely not. Yeah, so you guys are like, oh, pro player. Well, unfortunately, I can't be a pro player this year. So, like, I can go to some GPs, but I can't be a professional Magic player. I can't play in any Pro Tours. The first one that I'll be eligible for is the first one of 2017. So, who knows where I'll be then. Like, maybe I'll play, maybe I'll be back at Wizards. I don't know. It's a year away, so.
Yeah.
Well, we got you in the window.
Exactly.
We got you while you were still here, ready to be able to talk to us.
So how does that work? So like you said, you're allowed to play some GPs, because like you can't play a lot of like limited GPs, right? Because of having worked on sets.
The prize payout, right?
I thought it was having worked on sets.
So it only has to do with so there's a blackout window. So a pre-release happens, then I'll have a 3-week blackout window where I can't play. And after the 3 weeks is up, it gives people a chance to catch up, so I won't have an advantage anymore, right?
Gotcha.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, but
so after the 3
but
weeks
Pro
is up,
Tours,
the Pro Tour does fall in that window, of course.
every single time.
Of course, like that's the way it works. But it makes a lot of sense because like I feel like I would have an advantage if I played on the Pro Tour, so I totally understand like why I can't play.
Totally. Follow-up question to that. So, like, what happens if you play in a GP, or something, or an event like that, and you qualify for a Pro Tour? Will they push it all the way back to the next one that you're allowed to play, or will they just be like, too bad?
I don't think so.
No, it's too bad.
Oh, is it really?
Oh, snap.
Yeah, so basically, like, they are giving me an invite to the next Pro Tour I can play in. So I'm already qualified for Pro Tour stock of 2017.
Okay, cool.
But if I go to a, like, PPTQ or if I top 8 a GP or something for one that I'm eligible to play in, nothing. Like, it's just a waste.
Fair enough. Which you can play in a colorless deck.
Yeah.
You're right.
Good one.
No, it
was terrible.
That was terrible. I'm really sorry.
Well, before your time working with Wizards in R&D, you were a pro player and you had some really great finishes. Is there a moment or an achievement you're the most proud of in your Magic career?
Oh yeah, sure. So my best achievement is making top 8 of Pro Tour Gatecrash in 2013. It was actually almost 3 years ago.
Wow.
Hard to believe.
Oh, yeah.
God.
And the reason why it's that is because, I had been grinding all these GPs. I really wanted to qualify. I was, winning PTQs and stuff. So, I qualified for, Honolulu via a GP. I qualified for the next one by winning a PTQ, and then I skipped the next one because I didn't qualify. So I really wanted to qualify for Pro Tour Gatecrash. So I went to like all the GPs, PTQs, or whatever. I had like a really heartbreaking 9th place finish at GP Toronto.
Oh God.
I had that one, and it was like I actually thought I made top 8, you know, and I was like almost pre-celebrating until the standing came out and I was 9th. It had to do with like, if one player drew into the top 8, I was in, and he decided to play, and if the other guy lost or whatever, I wasn't going to make top 8. But anyway, long story short, I came in 9th, so it was like really disappointing. Then I went to the final PTQ of that qualifying season, made top 8, didn't win, so it's just like, oh man, so disappointing. And then what ended up happening then was like a lot of like fans and friends or whatever, they like were asking if I could get a special invite or something to the Pro Tour. You know, I didn't really think anything would happen, but as it turns out, they actually gave me a special invite.
Wow.
So I qualified from like people wanting me to be there, you know, and Wizards wanted me to be there too. So I actually was able to play in the Pro Tour. And it was a little awkward because I didn't actually qualify. I did have a lot of near misses, but, you know, I didn't earn the qualification. Like, Wizards just wanted me to be there. They thought that me being there was good for the game and good for them. So it does make sense. But what happened was, you know, a lot of people didn't agree with it. You know, like, like they want the best players in the game, and like clearly I wasn't the best player in the game because I didn't earn a qualification, right?
Yeah.
So there was a lot of haters. You know, there was a lot of supporters too, but there was a lot of haters. So at that Pro Tour, I did feel like I had something to prove, you know?
Yeah, and you're like, oh, just kidding. I topped 8 it. Deal with that.
Yeah, so like I did put in a lot of work. I did infinite drafts on Magic Online. I probably drafted for an entire weekend when it was like that pre-release on Magic Online. I probably did like 6 drafts a day.
Wow.
Holy crap.
That's a lot of drafts.
That's a lot of drafts.
There was also a blizzard, so I couldn't do anything else anyway.
Oh,
so.
That's the best excuse to play Magic Online. Oh, I can't go outside.
Exactly.
No, actually, like all the roads were closed. Like the highways were closed. I could not actually go anywhere. Like all I could do was just like sit in my house and do nothing. So I figured, well, you know, I am going to a Pro Tour next week. I guess I'll do some drafts. Sure, why not? So did some drafts, learned the format, had a really good constructed deck. And, you know, I went like 5-1 limited. My loss in limited, I don't like to like complain about Mana Screw usually, but like I really felt like I should have won the match where I lost, but you know, that happens. The constructed deck I played was like pretty unique. It was like a Bant control deck that splashed red for Kessig Wolf Run.
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically, like, you're playing, like, Restoration Angel, Thragtusk, a bunch of control stuff, Sphinx Revelation, and usually those decks, like, they just can't win, because they can never break through, you know, and you just end up decking yourself. You just have Kessig Wolf running, like, 20 lands in play, and you just win like that.
Yeah.
So.
Nice.
How did you deal with people who were really negative about your appearance at the Pro Tour?
I pretty much kept quiet. Like, I didn't say anything. I felt like I didn't have anything to say, either, because in a way they were right. Like, I didn't earn a qualification from PTQ or GP or whatever, you know, like Wizards handed me one. So I didn't really feel like I should say anything, but like I did have a lot of supporters, you know, who were saying, oh, you know, she does deserve to be there and that kind of thing. So I didn't have to say anything. So yeah, so my strategy was just, you know, say nothing.
Nice.
You know?
And work your butt off.
Yeah.
And prove yourself, which you totally did. Nice.
So this brings up a good question about how you were preparing for the Pro Tour, and that might, you know, start to be your life again when you're preparing for a big GP or a Pro Tour, like when you do have your invite again. What does it look like for you? What's a typical day or a week when you're testing or trying to get ready for a giant tournament?
Okay, so GPs and Pro Tours are a lot different. For GPs, I don't really do a lot of testing. Like, I might play some Magic Online matches or whatever, like, but I'm not going to, like, you know, go a week before and, you know, rent out a house with people and play all day. Like, that's more for what the Pro Tour is for. So anyway, for the Pro Tour, typically players work with teams. For me, I worked with a team. We were called Team Revolution. Unfortunately, that team is no more, but, you know, it happens. And it was a bunch of French players, including Hall of Famer Raphael Levy. and some Americans here and there. Like we were pretty much from all over. It was like a pretty interesting team. But anyway, we would either rent a house or like get a hotel or something or a hostel for either a week or two before the tournament, depending on if we decided to go to a GP the week before or not. But anyway, like let's say it's a week before, okay? So we just get there, and pretty much that entire week, Magic is your full-time job. Like you're waking up by 9 a.m., playing Constructed, doing a draft, then having lunch or something. Then, the afternoon, same thing. Then go get dinner, and then like maybe at night, instead of playing Magic because we just played all day, we might like do some theory crafting or talking about decks or something. But like Magic is your full-time job during that entire week.
Question, do you get leg cramps from sitting all the time? How do you deal with it?
Well, I mean, like, I'm not saying everyone does this, but I usually like to work out every day. So usually I would like go for a run or something, and because like, come on, you can't sit all day. Seriously.
No, I would go crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really bad. But like, I would like take breaks and go for a walk or something, or like go for a run, something like that.
I mean, because it's got to be mentally taxing too to just continually be playing game after game and talking about it.
Yeah, it really is. Like we do take a lot of breaks, which is why like we might play 2 hours of Constructed, take a break and do something else, and then do a draft, then go out to eat or something, so like you are taking little breaks in there. But yeah, like you could play 10 games in a row and just be like, okay, I'm done, I cannot play anymore.
Yeah. I'm cashed.
Yeah, I'm done for. So especially I feel like when you're traveling to so many events or you're putting in that much time, it's really easy to, I think, get very competitive. So how do you get let yourself not be salty after a loss, or like not take anything too hard when things don't go great?
Okay, so how to not be salty after a loss. So so this is like a kind of a long story for me to answer, but over a year ago I did write an article where I touched on this. So if you so the article was from 12/24/14. It's called My 2014 Year in Review. So go read that. I touch up on that. But basically, to kind of summarize what I'm trying to say is, so basically, Magic is designed where there's randomness in it, okay? So you have to understand that. And once you understand that, you're not really going to, you're probably not going to get salty after you lose because there's a lot of randomness. So, for example, I get mana screwed, and then I lose. Well, that's part of the game. That's the way that Magic was actually designed. Like, if you want a game where there's no randomness, play chess or something. Like, Magic is not the game for you if you're gonna complain about mana screw. And like, there will be times where you're on the right side of the randomness, and there will be times you're on the wrong side of the randomness. But if you're a good player, sometimes you'll have your right side of the randomness, and you'll win a tournament or something. So the example that I want to give here is GP Orlando. It was like pretty much right before Wizards. I ended up losing in the finals of that GP.
I remember watching you in the finals of that.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So to top 8 at GP, you have to run pretty good because, like I said, the game has randomness in it. You can't control it. So you have to like get lucky here and there to like win a lot of matches. Okay. So there was this one match that I played where, obviously, I had to basically win out and then draw in the last round to make top 8. So I'm playing this match. Every one win counted. So my opponent has a flyer that I can't deal with, and I'm on something like a 4-turn clock. So at this point, I knew that I couldn't win this match, but I had a Siege Rhino in my deck. Okay.
Oh no, Meghan!
Siege
I
Rhino.
realized this was limited, by the way, just for people wondering what the format is. So I knew that the only way that I could win this match is by getting my opponent to 3 or less life and drawing the Siege Rhino. Okay. So I made this attack to get my opponent to less than 3, and I had to do it at that exact time. If I waited a turn to do that, like, I couldn't have done it because he like would play another creature or something, and I would never be able to make that attack again. So it was kind of like a chump attack, type thing. And at that point, I had maybe 3 or 4 turns to draw the Siege Rhino. Maybe my deck had 20 cards. Who knows? I don't remember the details.
Yeah.
But I did draw the Siege Rhino.
Yeah.
It wasn't the final turn because that would have been way too dramatic. It was like maybe the second or third turn or something. I drew the Siege Rhino, the opponent was kind of shocked. But anyway, that's one of the times where you're on the right side of the randomness. You know, I had to draw this Siege Rhino. I had 4 turns to draw the Siege Rhino. I drew the Siege Rhino. You know.
Yeah.
So then in the finals of the tournament, I mulligan to 5 game 3 and lose. You know.
Yeah.
I get mana flooded. It was not really much of a game. I'm sure there's a replay or something you can watch. I think we played, like, the first 2 games were pretty good, but the last game was just not good. And that's like being on the wrong side of the randomness, you know? Sometimes you just draw all of your lands and lose. You know, you can't help the cards you draw. Like, that's just how the game was designed. And then, like, people, the opponent, like, everyone was like, wow, you took that loss really well. And I was like, well, you know, I did have to run really well to make it this far. I drew pretty well in all of my games, so, you know, it's fine. You know?
Yeah. Nice.
So,
I have a question. I think there are a lot of different qualities that make somebody a good Magic player or somebody who, you know, has the potential to be good at Magic. What do you think you have, or what skills do you have that you think you're really good at that make you good at the game?
that's a really good question. Pretty hard to answer.
Yes, I got the hard-hitting question in there, Megan.
Good job.
Boom.
Good job.
It's like, wow, talking about my skills,
I know, that's very
really
un-Minnesotan of
hard
me.
question to answer. I think, like, my skills come in through limited. So basically, knowing what cards need to go in my deck. Okay, so when I'm drafting, so like when you draft, I'm not sure if everyone does this, but like better players will build their deck in their head as they draft. You know, so at high level events, you're not allowed to look at your card pool, that like the cards you've drafted. I'm not sure if you guys knew that, but you can only look at the cards in between picks. Okay. So you have to really know what is in your deck. Like every time you draft a card, you have to like think about the card and say, okay, this card is going here in my curve. This card serves this purpose, that kind of thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
totally.
It totally does. And Megan and I have had where we were top 8 of local PPTQs, and they in the drafts of those you can't look, and it is a panic moment for me. Like, I literally can't remember my first 2 picks sometimes because I sit there and I'm like, oh my god, did I take a red card? Was it a white card? And just thinking of perhaps visualizing where it's going in my curve might be a good tip to think about in the future.
Totally.
Yeah, totally.
I solved it, you guys. I'm now a pro.
That was the one thing you needed to hear.
Yeah.
No, that's sorry, my brain was just blanked out for a second. It's late here. It's not even late. I'm
It's
just
not
tired.
late.
It's Wednesday.
It's not really that late.
No, it's not. It's Wednesday though, you guys.
Megan's a grandma.
I am. So what can you tell us about what it's like to work at Wizards?
Well, there's a lot of stuff that I can't say.
Okay.
That's
So,
fair enough.
This is a
this is a
safe
really
space,
hard
Melissa. You can tell
So-
us all your secrets.
So I'm going to say some very general things here.
Okay.
fair enough.
We play a lot of Magic. We play a lot of Future Standard.
Yes.
We do a lot of drafts. It's super fun. So, like, for example, on my first day of work last year, it was my first day, so I'm like, you know, overwhelmed. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what this job is like. It's just my first day. We draft real cards, Dragon's Fate Reforged. The sets were not out yet. So here I am on my first day, and they're like, would you like to draft Dragons of Tarkir? And I was like, Dragons of Tarkir?
What's that?
Fate Reforged isn't even out yet. Okay. So we
That's
draft.
awesome.
Like, I think the purpose of the draft is actually like to check like collation, make sure the packs are like okay or whatever.
yeah.
But you know, we can like benefit from that by having a fun time. Sure.
Did you crush that draft, or did you fall on your face?
Oh, I actually did pretty well in the draft. I remember I played against Mark Gottlieb, who is the one of the head designers, and I had no idea who he was. He was just like this guy that I just met. And but like apparently he's like this really good Magic designer. And I remember I beat him, and like and I didn't know who he was, so it was just really funny. And I'm like, and you know, like after I'd been there for a week or something, I'm like, oh wow, this guy is like a Magic designer. He's like the head designer. Whoa.
That's awesome.
That's super sweet. So like I think one of the craziest things that I remember hearing is that like at some point like when Rally the Ancestors, that deck was first becoming really big, someone at WotC was like, yeah, like just so you know, like we actually knew that was coming.
Yeah.
Like that was out there.
Yeah, sure. So the thing is, like, we have to pretty much test every card and build every deck because we have to make sure that things aren't broken. So chances are we played all of the cards, you know?
Yeah.
So I have a good idea of what Oath of the Gatewatch cards are going to be good and constructed, you know?
Yeah. I
Of
remember,
course,
like...
sometimes we're wrong, too, you know?
Yeah. There was, I can't remember who it was. I think it was Zach Hill. Like, somebody said when they found the Mogi, the mono red devotion deck in Standard, it didn't end up being a huge thing in Standard, but I remember him saying, oh, I'm glad you guys found that deck. And I was like, oh, I see how it is. You guys played it in the Future League.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much, like we have to play everything, you know? But it's hard to say, like, what will be good in the end because cards change so much. You know, so like, and also sometimes we're wrong too. Like I hear that, like, you know, like Wizards didn't know that Treasure Cruise was going to be broken in Eternal formats. Whatever. It was fun in Standard.
Yeah.
You know? And like some other things were a surprise. Oh, like actually one was Jeskai Ascendancy.
Oh, yeah.
It's not really like a super good card right now, but they did not know that it was going to be as good as it was. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't catch everything. Like,
and I feel like especially with Treasure Cruise, like
especially like the development team is only, like, when I was there it was only 9 people. Now it's 8. You know, that's not a lot of people. You know, and like there's other playtesters too, but like pretty much there's like only 8 people that are like playtesting all the decks, building all the decks, like that kind of thing. So it really is easy to miss things. But we do play most of the cards. You know, like any card that is remotely constructed, even like cards that like most players will think, oh, this card will never be constructed. We probably played that card.
Yeah. That's an amazing feat, you know, when you think about it. That's a really small team of people who are doing a really incredible job testing all of these decks. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, that's just got to be a lot of work. Did you spend a lot of hours on the job? I mean, it's a fun job and an enjoyable job. Did you eat, sleep, and think Magic?
Pretty much. Yeah, like, it's pretty much your life, like, when you're working there, you know, like, because I'm very invested in the set doing well, because when you work on a set, you want the set to do well, you know? You don't want people to not like it. So the sets that I worked on, like, I really wanted them to do well, you know? So all I did was think about decks. Like, all I did was think, oh, like, how can I build a deck using this one card that I thought was really cool? Like, that kind of thing. So, yeah, definitely. It's, like, more than a full-time job.
And when you were there, were you like testing decks? What was your role? Testing decks, developing cards, giving. I know you gave feedback on designs as well. What was your role, and what was your favorite part of the role?
Okay, so developers, they play Standard for Future League, and they also basically they're just on the development team of various sets. So for me, I was always on the Future League team. And I was on the development team of 2 upcoming sets. So the set after Shadows over Innistrad, I was on that team, and the one after that, I was on that team too.
Oh my goodness!
Wow!
Just to think.
Yeah, it's so far away, like so far in the future.
you have a crystal ball.
Exactly. You can see into the future. You know what's coming.
Did you get to design a card?
Yeah, so, like, on development teams of sets, you design a lot of cards. And, like, a lot of times, you're not designing the cards by yourself. Like, you're designing them with a team of people. So, for example, it's like, oh, Standard is missing X thing. Oh, let's design a card that can fill that role, you know?
Yeah.
So, like, as a team, we'll design a card together, you know? The development team usually designs the abilities of Planeswalkers. Because, like, so, for example, we know that, you know, like a Chandra or something is going to be in a set, right? So they'll just put, like, you know, Chandra in the file, but, like, we'll have just kind of throwaway abilities on there because we don't know what the Chandra wants to do yet. But we just know that it's in the set because of the story or whatever, you know. Yeah. And the development team usually creates the loyalty abilities of the Planeswalker. So to answer your question, did I design a card? I did design, like, quite a few cards, but the cards changed so much that it's hard to say if any of the cards that I made ended up in the final product. So I don't really have an answer right now.
In some amorphous way.
Yeah.
Like, yes.
I think it's going to be really awesome, too, when those sets are released for you to see all of your hard work come to fruition. And it'll be like playing the set and drafting it on a whole different level. Like, I'm drafting my babies. That sounds weird.
Yeah,
but you know what I mean.
I'm looking forward to that. And, like, I did some work on the sets that have already come out. Like VFC, I was super, super new. So I didn't really do a whole lot. And Oath of the Gatewatch, I was only kind of new. So I did a little bit of stuff. I did play all the standard formats, of course, for Future League. But one thing is, like, we draft the set in real life, and there's actually art on the cards, right? So we were opening real packs and looking at real cards, and I was like, I didn't expect that guy to look like that. You know?
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's really funny, actually. Like, wait a second. He was always different in my head.
Yeah.
So, if you could change one thing, so having worked at Wizards,
Yes.
this is like
this is scandalous question.
fancier question. If you could change anything about Magic, what would you change?
All right, so that's like a pretty tough question. So since
Yes.
like when you ask people this question, they always say the same thing. They always say, "I wish there was no mana screw," right?
Yeah,
Everyone hates
that's
mana
true.
screw. But I have already come to the terms with the fact that there's mana screw in the game, so that is not my answer.
All right.
No,
Like
fair enough.
I think Magic is a great game. There's not much to change about it. I don't think. I'm not really sure. Like I think Magic is great, but there is one problem with Magic, and I'm sure we can all agree. The digital side of things needs a little bit of work.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we understand.
Yes. So
Yeah.
we can just
So
go with
I guess like there are so many good digital games out there. You know, Magic Online, unfortunately, is not one of them.
So we can just go with like a revamped digital platform.
Yeah.
That's a really good answer
We
across
had
the board.
Ifro on this show a couple episodes ago, and his answer was he didn't want any more planeswalkers. Does that
Oh.
does that shock you?
Kind of. Planeswalkers are really cool.
All right, we've got two different camps.
All right.
Planeswalker, yes, and Planeswalker, no.
I was going to be like, planeswalkers are cool. Get rid of planeswalkers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was an interesting answer. I wasn't actually expecting it.
It was very surprising.
Yeah, but that's good to know. Good to know. What card do you think from the history of Magic, this is my next hard-hitting question, best represents you and why?
Yeah, so this is one that I had to think about for a while, actually. Like, it's like, what card represents me? I don't know. Like, this is really tough. But then I was thinking about, like, cards I liked, and I'm like, maybe a card that I really like, or some art that I really like to represent me. So I finally have my answer.
Okay.
Okay, we're very
We're
ready.
ready.
So my answer is Bear Cub, because he's so innocent on the inside. But then on the outside, he's a ferocious bear. But he's just a tutu, so I don't know.
Is Bear
Aw.
Cub the original bear?
No, it's not. Bear Cub is like a reprint of Grizzly Bears that was printed in Portal.
Oh, that's right.
Okay.
Grizzly Bears was the original bear.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Bear Cub is like, it's a Portal card. Like, I always like really like Portal art. So like, if you ever get a chance, go look at Portal art. It's actually like really cool and interesting. They're actually my favorite art for basic lands. But anyway, Bear Cub, cutest card ever. You can't get any cuter than a Bear Cub.
All right, I'm looking at it right now.
Oh,
It's
looking
so
at a little,
cute.
It's like
looking
at a
bee.
dragonfly.
What is that? What
It's
is
a
it looking at?
dragonfly. Why would you look at a bee?
What are you talking about? People look at bees all the time.
But I'm just saying, if you were going to look at something, it's probably a dragonfly.
I don't know. What about a farmer that needs honey?
I mean, that's not a bear, though.
Here's the flavor text on Bear Cub. Every little cub has its mother's teeth to guard it. Ooh.
Nice. Aw, well, that's an adorable choice.
Yeah, it is. And I think that's like like you said, you're like, I'm just innocent and nice, but then I get out there and I'm like gonna top 8 this pro tour.
Exactly.
Bear Cub.
Nice. Okay, so which planeswalker are you? If you had to pick a planeswalker.
It's 100% Jace, because like he draws a lot of cards and he's blue and he wears a hoodie. So Jace, always
Fair
Jace.
And he wears a hoodie. That's my favorite part.
I never thought about it that way, but I feel like a lot of people would probably identify with Jace for
the hoodie reason reason alone.
Exactly.
Megan, this next question is all you.
Okay. Well, I don't know how Melissa's going to react to this
Well, let's
question,
find out. Let's find
given the story that she told us earlier.
Yeah, that's true.
But Melissa, I really hate Sea Drano. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you hate Siege Rhino? 1 being a lot and 10 being your hate is never ending.
Okay, so I only hate Siege Rhino a little.
Okay.
Not an entirely large amount, so my answer is probably 1.
Okay, fair
So
enough.
I'm sorry. Like, Siege Rhino is okay. I hate him a little bit though. Like, I'm kind of sick of him. I'm really looking forward to him rotating out.
Like you're done with seeing his stupid rhino face.
Basically.
We'd rather see his stupid rhino butt. Don't let the door hit you on the way out, Siege Rhino.
Exactly.
So, this is my question and everybody's question in the world for you, I think, because this is what people always want to know. You're so good. How do we become more like you? What's your number 1 tip for people to become better players?
Okay, so how to become a better player. So, like, first, go to your local store, find people who are better than you at Magic, become their friend, play lots of Magic with them. Eventually, you'll be as good as them. But it doesn't end there. Then you have to find people better than those people. And then you make friends with those people and play a lot of Magic with them, become as good as them. And then you just keep going until you're, like, friends with all these pro players and, like, you're as good as these pro players. And then eventually, in no time, you'll be winning Pro Tours.
That's as easy as that!
Just climb that social ladder. Like, climb that social and play skill ladder, man.
Were you always good at math? Were you a good math person?
Yeah, actually, I was always good at math. Like, I write a lot of Magic articles, so people are always like, oh, you write a lot. You must be really good at English. But actually, believe it or not, English was always my worst subject in school. My best subject was math and science. So I always did pretty badly in English, and I don't even really like to read that much. So I don't know, writing is just a thing that I picked up like to supplement Magic, and I just became pretty good at it, I guess. You know, like the more you write articles, like the better you'll become at writing. So like it was kind of like a learn as I go thing.
Yeah.
But
Totally.
yeah, to answer your question, yeah, I was always actually good at math.
I'm gonna throw like a curveball here, just in like a hypothetical parallel universe where Magic doesn't exist as a game. What do you think you would be doing right now?
Yeah, great question.
Yeah, that is a good question. I was always a gamer, actually. I always played lots of video games growing up, you know? Like, I played, like, everything. Like, I always wanted to, like, be a video game designer. Like, I thought that, like, Super Nintendo role-playing games were the coolest things ever, and all I wanted to do was, like, if there was a way to work on those games, I wanted to do that.
What was your
Sweet.
favorite game?
I guess it would be that. My favorite game... It's really tough. There's so many good games out there. Like,
Yeah.
it's probably Final Fantasy VI, but it could also be Final Fantasy Tactics for PS1.
But it could also be every Final Fantasy.
Well, I mean, they all have their ups and downs, but Final Fantasy VI has, like, great gameplay and great story. Final Fantasy Tactics is, like, it was just, like, the most complex, interesting thing that Final Fantasy had ever done. I don't know if you guys have played, but it was, like, not, like, a Final Fantasy game. Like, the story was the same, but it was instead, like, it had, like, job classes, and it had, like, tactics, like a grid-style battle where you set your guys up on a grid, kind of like minis games, that kind of thing. You know? So it was something that Final Fantasy had never done before, and so to me it was, like, a pretty new thing, and it was, like, such a cool thing. And, like, I was in high school when that game came out, and I put in so many hours into that game. Like, just to give you an idea of how much I played, there was, like, a timer, right? Like, of how many hours you played.
Yeah.
And when it reached 99.99, it stopped.
That's awesome.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
So you play games, and I assume you still play, like, games if you have time. Like, what other lifestyle choices do you have that keep your brain sharp and kind of in good shape? Do you have any other stuff that you do? You run, you play games that keep you in shape and on top of your game?
Well, yeah, you kind of just said it. Like, I try and go to the gym every day. I play a lot of games in my free time. I read a lot of articles about games and Magic, mostly about Magic. Yeah, basically that kind of thing.
Nice.
Tell us a secret Melissa fact that nobody knows about you.
Okay, my secret Melissa fact is I love Food Network. I watch all the Food Network shows ever.
Which is your favorite Food Network show?
That's really tough. Like, there's so many good ones, you know? Like, I
Yeah.
always liked Next Food Network Star, which I
Okay.
now just called Food Network Star.
Gotcha.
Um, and like Chopped is always really cool. Like, oh, like if Chopped is,
Chopped
I would
is
pretty much just sit and watch Chopped all day. But like Cutthroat Kitchen is a new one, that like has come out since Chopped, and like that one might be better.
yeah.
It's like
All
Oh.
right.
it's tough. I don't know. Like,
No, I hear you. Chopped is really good. Have you watched The Great British Baking Show?
no, I actually haven't watched that yet, but I hear it's good, so I'll probably check that one out next.
Yes,
We
I
love it.
highly recommend it. It's great. It's like weirdly zen.
It is.
You know, they're all so British. They're all so British. And they bake amazing things.
And they're all very
Yes.
nice about everything.
Exactly. I feel very calm and also very hungry at the end of every episode.
Oh, yeah.
That's basically it.
Absolutely.
So what do you think, like a sum up question, like what do you love most about Magic? What's the one thing that keeps you coming back?
So like I guess what keeps me coming back is just like how the game is always different. Like you'll never play the same game twice. And I know I already answered that in a previous question you asked me. But like, you know, like when you draft, you're never going to have the same deck, you're never going to have the same game, you're never going to have the same decisions. So
Yeah.
that's the first reason. The second reason is the community. Like the community is amazing. I've made so many great friends. I always look forward to going to tournaments or game stores or Grand Prix just to see everyone. So definitely
Yeah.
the community.
Aw, awesome.
That's a great answer.
Yeah.
You've given a lot of good answers in this interview.
Indeed.
Thank you so much for being on the show, Melissa. And I know a lot of people were really excited to hear that you were going to be on, and we'll just
Yeah.
be so happy that we finally snagged you for an interview. Well, we still could.
Exactly.
Yep, for sure. Thanks for having me. It was really fun.
So, and we'll spend our time between two things. One hoping that you land back in R&D, but also counting down the days till you're on the Pro Tour again.
Yeah, I know it's a
So,
hard choice.
it's a
such
hard choice.
choice.
So, but either
It's a
one.
hard
And everybody, keep an eye out, as Melissa said, for her articles from Vancouver. And if people want to connect with you or read some of your stuff, where can they go?
Okay, so I write for tcgplayer.com. See, it's on my hoodie. So magic.tcgplayer.com. I have an article every Monday. It's usually about. Lately, I've been writing about a lot of rogue decks, just because I've played so many cool decks while I was play testing on the Future League that like I just have a lot to say about decks that people aren't playing.
Yeah.
So lately, I've been writing about that. And I am also writing for Daily MTG, like roughly every 2 weeks. So just go there. You can read my archive. I've also written a bunch of daily decks, so you can just go read those if you want. And you can follow me on Twitter at Melissa DeTora.
Nice.
I also have a Facebook page. You can probably just search for it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for talking to us, Melissa. It was really great.
Yeah, it was super fun.
Yay.
Thanks for having me.
We'll see you around.
Yep.
Yup.